What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Paul Talks Patriots. Okay, we got week number 2 of free agency on the show, and nothing crazy happened, to say the least. Anthony Jennings is back. He signed for a 3-year, $12 million deal, worth up to $24 million with incentives, all that jazz. Can I complain about the signing? No, I can't. And it was easy to assume he was going to come back after Mac Wilson left for the Cardinals. It was kind of a one or the other type of scenario there. And we ended up with Anthony Jennings, a guy who has improved year to year. So looking forward to what he's doing next year for us. Other than that, Nick Leverett, guard from the Buccaneers. Don't know much about him. He's barely played, barely started any games. Depth addition, we got him for 1 year, $1.775 million. Again, can't complain about it. Especially with Cole Strange having his injury history, who knows what he's going to do. You got City Sal on the other side. I'm assuming he's going to start next year for us. I don't think his health was too bad last year, but just super average starter. Other than that, got a defensive tackle, Armin Watts, from the Steelers. No, not Watt. Watts. And completely different caliber players. Watts hasn't done much. He's basically just a Lawrence guy. So you signed Watts for a 1 year, $2.2 million deal. Could have had Guy for probably around the same price. So a little bit redundant there, but you lose the leadership in Guy. Watts was a 6th-round pick out of Arkansas in 2019. Spent 3 years in Minnesota. 2022 he was with the Bears, and then last year with the Steelers, as I said. He's not going to do much for you. He's just going to be a rotational piece. Whatever. Yeah. And here it gets a little bit better. Austin Hooper. We signed Austin Hooper to a 1 year, $3.13 million deal. Hooper, if you don't know him, is a tight end. He spent last year with the Raiders, and the previous year before that with the Titans. And in those 2 years, he didn't really produce much, honestly. But he is still just 29, and here's the interesting part. In 2020 and 2021, spent time with the Browns under Alex Van Pelt as his coach, and played with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. So there is some chemistry there. Hooper's going to know what Van Pelt is going to run here. So it made sense. Outside of that, Hooper had a great start to his NFL career in Atlanta with the Falcons. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. So he's not at that level anymore. But I think he's a player that's going to do well for us. Him and Hunter Henry in that 2 tight end set is going to be very good, I believe, next year. And just the fact that he knows the system is good. It's always a plus. Here's the weird part is Hooper is not a blocking tight end. He's a receiving tight end through and through. And as soon as he signed with us, Pharaoh Brown went and signed with the Seattle Seahawks. So now we don't have a blocking tight end on our roster, nor do we have a third tight end. So it's pretty apparent to me that we will be drafting a tight end in the draft. Other than that, we got a wide receiver. No, not Mike Williams. We got KJ Osborne from the Vikings. Osborne, a guy who hasn't really done anything too crazy, but is well known as a good fantasy pickup when Justin Jefferson is injured. He did produce well when Jefferson was out. He's not a wide receiver 1. In fact, he's a wide receiver 3. We just have a whole group of wide receiver 3s. I don't want to talk about it much more. I don't understand why we couldn't go get someone else, but I'll get to that in a minute. As far as Osborne goes, the first good thing you can say about him from what I've read up on and heard is he's a good guy. So you know what? That's not a bad thing, but definitely not the best trait you want to hear about a wide receiver. That's all we signed since I updated you guys last week. Who's left that was on our team last year? Trent Brown. This isn't a surprise. Trent Brown did mention to the media that he would not be coming back to New England. He signed a 1-year deal in Cincinnati to protect Joe Burrow, and I'm not affected by it. Was he a really good tackle? Yeah, but mentally he was checked out all of last year. He was just kind of a bad leader in the locker room, a bad presence, and not someone you want around New Reign with Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf at the helm now. Just a guy that you don't need anymore. So whatever he does, I'm not going to hate the guy, but I'm not mad he's gone either. Now, here's a fun list that you guys are all going to like to hear. Players we missed out on over the past week. It's a good one. Like I said earlier, wide receiver Mike Williams. Williams signed a 1-year contract with the New York Jets worth $15 million. You could have made that one happen. You got so much money to spend. I don't know. You don't have a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. Could have been Mike Williams. You didn't make it happen. And now you get to see him twice a year on the other side of the field. Also, who tagged along with him to New York for the Jets? Offensive tackle Tyron Smith also signed there. His contract is interesting as he's older now, but still proved to be an all-pro player last year. He signed for 1 year, $6.5 million, with incentives based on playing time worth up to $20 million. Again, that's a very reasonable contract for a player in his situation and who is going to be a Hall of Famer. If you get his full potential production, $20 million, while is a steep number, is definitely worth it for him. And if he gets injured, you're paying him $6.5 million. And there are increments in between, so to me, again, another deal you easily could have made happen. Listen, you don't want to pay a wide receiver, fine, but I don't understand why you don't sign the offensive line to keep your quarterback safe. Doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, moving on. Another guy that moved teams for cheap, Keenan Allen, a perennial Pro Bowler, got traded to the Chicago Bears for a 4th-round pick. Are you kidding me? You couldn't get rid of a 4th-round pick for Keenan Allen? The Bears are preparing to take a new rookie quarterback, and they're giving him weapons. Us, on the other hand, are signing a bunch of nobodies and expecting whoever's that quarterback to just go out there and perform well. That's not how that works. You can't just snap your finger and record a win. You got to go out there with a good team and go do it. The Bears are doing that. They traded for Keenan Allen. We could have done that, but clearly we don't want to. You let another wide receiver that you could have gotten for pretty cheap. Oh, you let him get away. And lastly, offensive tackle who had been tagged to our name for weeks now. Jonah Williams signed with the Cardinals on a 2-year, $30 million deal. Again, maybe a little bit overpaid there, but you're getting a guy that can play both right and left tackle and a solid starter in the NFL. So I thought about it. Why wouldn't we want to pay for these players? And I think we're in a very similar page as the Dallas Cowboys are right now. A lot of Cowboys fans are frustrated that they're not signing anyone. I think the first guy they signed through the first 2 days of free agency was a long snapper. They re-signed their long snapper, I'm pretty sure, and that was it for through the first 2 days of free agency. So I can say we were definitely not that bad, far from it, but they're on a similar page as they have to look forward next year in free agency and their own players becoming free agents. And just like them, we have a lot of our own players again becoming free agents that are very important pieces to our team. As you know, Kyle Duggar was given the transition tag, so next year he's playing, but that's all it is next year. We have to worry about him again if we don't extend him, which hopefully we do, but it's no guarantee. Outside of that, Matthew Judon's contract is up next year. Devon Godchild's contract is up next year, and while he is not like a top 10 defensive tackle in this league by any means, he is a great defensive tackle, one that I'm sure many teams would want. So another guy you have to worry about. And on top of that, even more importantly, at the same position, Christian Barmore is also a free agent next year. This is a guy that I would love to see extended before free agency hits, hopefully this season. At this rate, that's probably going to be the best thing that happens the whole year if it does happen. But Barmore is a guy that's not going to come cheap. He's going to want a lot of money. He knows what his market is going to be. Another guy you have to worry about there. On top of that, Jonathan Jones, also a free agent next year. Now, he's not what he was when we re-signed him to the contract he's on right now, but he's still a really good second cornerback, still a really good slot corner, which is the toughest position to play in football, many people would say, and he holds down the fort there. Another guy it's tough to come by, you know? So you got to worry about that. Another person, Jabril Peppers, is going to be a free agent. Now, this is a little interesting because you're hoping to extend Duggar, and you also have Marte Mapu. So do you need Jabril Peppers? Not necessarily, but you don't know if you're getting Duggar back next year, and you don't know where Mapu's going to be capable of playing next year either. So, Jabril Peppers, another guy you got to worry about being a free agent. Josh Uche, we just signed him to a 1-year deal, so obviously he'll be a free agent again. And hopefully he lives up to his prove-it deal that we signed him to, but what does that mean? He's going to be a lot more expensive next offseason. Ramondre Stevenson, another one. Now, running backs are interesting because they're not valued too much anymore. They come cheaper, and general managers see them as very replaceable. But we don't have a running back right now that can replace Ramondre Stevenson full-time. So maybe we get him on a cheaper deal. Who knows? But you lose Ramondre, you lose most of your offense because our passing game is abysmal. And then lastly, Jelani Tavai, the inside linebacker, a guy that was really good for us last year. I believe he led our team in tackles, if I remember correctly. So, not another guy you want to lose. Again, not a top 10 guy at his position, but a very good starter. Guy you got to worry about. So, there's 10 people about that you got to worry about bringing back next year. And you're probably not going to get all of them, but you want the ability to re-sign the most important ones. So I believe that's why we're not targeting guys this offseason. And yeah, we're just going to have to be patient, Patriots fans. Lastly, with the Patriots, I did want to talk about potential trade back options in the draft this year. First would be with the Chargers. The Chargers sit at 5th overall this year. So they would look up to move up 2 spots to our 3rd overall pick, of course. And for that, you're getting a second round pick at least, if not a first round pick in 2025, just for moving back 2 spots. And the thing about that is, the Chargers need a wide receiver after letting go of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. How much do they value Marvin Harrison over the other wide receiver draft picks? Well, I mean, that's for them to decide. But if they do want to move ahead of the Cardinals, who have been projected to pick Marvin Harrison for months now, they're going to have to trade with us. Whatever they feel valuable to give us, whatever we can pull out of them, could be more than what I said in the second or first round pick. Who knows? But I don't see that as more realistic. Either way, you can get the same quarterback you would want at 3, at 5 now, plus whatever picks they give you. The only issue is if the Giants now trade ahead of you to draft that quarterback, because the Cardinals would be in the same exact situation that we were in with the wide receiver. They don't need to stay there if they can move back and get the same player. So it's a risk. You risk the Giants moving ahead of you and drafting that quarterback that you would want. Speaking of the Giants, they sit at 6th overall. Another team that you can trade back to. In this case, why you would do this is because whoever the Commanders draft 2nd overall, whoever's left out of the 3rd quarterback there, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May, if you're not dead set on that quarterback and you don't believe in his abilities to lead your franchise for the next decade plus, trade back to the Giants pick. Let them draft a quarterback, see how he does. But to move back 3 spots and probably get Joe Walt or whatever receiver is still on the board at 6, Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors, you're getting a cornerstone piece to your offense, and you're probably getting a 2025 first round pick from the Giants and a 3rd round pick, whether it's this year or next year, from the Giants as well. So I do like that option. If you don't like the quarterback that's available to you at 3 and the Giants are willing to trade up for him, I think it's a great return. Plus you're getting a great pick this year at the 6th overall pick. Lastly, this one is really interesting. Has been talked about a lot in the media. The Vikings just traded for the 23rd overall pick from Cleveland. Originally Houston's pick. Now it's the Vikings. So they have the 11th overall pick of their own and now the 23rd overall pick from the Browns. This is extremely similar when Miami had the 3rd overall pick in the 2021 draft and traded it to the 49ers for them to select Trey Lance. The 49ers had the 12th overall pick that year, similarly to the Vikings' 11th overall pick this year. Now, what did the 49ers trade to move up from 12 to 3 in 2021? They gave Miami that pick, being the 12th overall pick. They gave them a 2022 first round pick, a 2023 first round pick, and a 3rd round pick. So we're talking 3 first round picks and a 3rd round. And the Vikings are at 11 and the 49ers are at 12. And the Vikings are a team who are extremely desperate for a quarterback after Kirk Cousins left them to sign with the Atlanta Falcons. So you can probably pull out more value there. So you're getting the Vikings' 11th overall pick, 23rd overall pick this year, plus at least a 2025 first round pick and a 3rd round pick. Whether that 3rd round pick becomes a 2nd round pick or the Vikings toss in like a 5th or 6th round pick, you're probably getting more than what the 49ers gave to Miami 3 years ago. That's a lot of draft capital. And if you look at what Miami used those picks for, a lot of the players that got them to the playoffs this past year were used with those picks that they got from the 49ers. And it wasn't even like they were high-end first-round picks. Of course, the 49ers have been good, so those picks have been towards the back of the rounds. It's a very feasible option, I believe, for the Patriots to trade back to the Vikings. And whoever you get there at 11 and 23, again, probably going to be wide receiver. Offensive line is going to help you long-term. And instead of forcing a rookie quarterback into a really crappy offense, you build the offense around the quarterback position and take care of drafting the rookie quarterback last. That's all for the Patriots, but now I want to go to my NFL segment and talk to you about what's going on around the league. Well, as you know, Mac Jones was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he is not the only young quarterback on their rookie contract to already be labeled a bust. Justin Fields got traded to Pittsburgh for a 6th-round pick. Why? Who knows? They have Russell Wilson. Well, who didn't like that trade? Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, after the Russell Wilson signing and being promised a competition in the offseason for the starting role, was no longer allowed to compete for the starting role. It was fully given to Russell Wilson. He said, I don't want to be here anymore, and got traded to the Eagles. It was Pickett in a 4th for a 3rd and a 7th from the Eagles. Pickett grew up rooting for the Eagles, and now gets to be the backup there instead of being the backup in Pittsburgh. Does it make sense to me? No, not at all. But maybe he's ring chasing. Who knows? Sam Howell, another guy drafted 2 years ago, got traded from the Commanders to the Seahawks. Commanders fully committed to drafting a new franchise quarterback. Howell, paired with a 4th and a 6th, got traded for a 3rd and a 5th from the Seahawks. Desmond Ridder got traded to the Cardinals for Rondale Moore as the Falcons prepare for Kirk Cousins coming in. Next, on an addition of players who should be in a nursing home and not on the field, Joe Flacco signed a 1-year, $4.5 million contract with the Colts, along with Bobby Wagner, who signed a 1-year, $6.5 million deal with the Commanders. And on an addition of teams you didn't think could get better but somehow managed to, the Chiefs signed Marquise Brown to a 1-year contract worth up to $11 million. Where are they getting this money? No one knows, but it's happening. Also, the Eagles signed linebacker Devin White, who was on the Bucs for the first 4 years of his career. And that's a 1-year deal worth $7.5 million. Good deal for the Eagles. They have no weak spots now. It's scary. The Saints signed Chase Young to a 1-year, $14 million deal. Why? Why give him $14 million fully guaranteed? Who knows? But it's the Saints. So, they're starting to turn into a joke of the league. The 49ers signed Josh Dobbs to a 1-year contract. When the media asked 49ers GM John Lynch why Dobbs was signed after he ended the season as a 3rd-string quarterback behind Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins, he said, to put the aerospace engineer degree intellect level to use to help Kyle Shanahan finally figure out how to keep a lead in big games. Oh, too soon? Not sorry. Fake news, by the way. The Browns signed Jerry Jeudy to a 3-year, $58 million contract extension. And when the media asked Browns GM Andrew Berry why he signed Jerry Jeudy to such a big contract extension after trading for him, he said he thought he traded for Cortland Sutton. That makes a lot more sense. And lastly, on a serious note, Aaron Donald retired from the NFL. He retired with quite the resume. a future first ballot Hall of Famer, rightfully so. He was a Super Bowl 56 champion, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year champion, including back-to-backs. He was Defensive Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler, 2010's All-NFL Decade Team, and had 111 career sacks, which is good for 28th all-time on the official leaders list, and the best for a guy that was purely listed as a defensive tackle. Congrats on a great career, Aaron Donald. That's all I got for you this week. Until next time, I'll catch you.